All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Another segment of Stock Watch with the one, the only, GabeyCardStacks. My friend, how was your weekend in a crazy weekend of college football?
Yes, yeah, it was crazy. I feel like there's a lot to talk about, and I'm all over the place. But there was a lot of good stuff. A lot of ranked games here. Indiana taking care of Oregon on the road. Indiana looks legit, and I'm all over that. Texas beating Oklahoma. Is Arch back? He was on our down last week,
Yep.
and now coming back up. Also had Ohio State take care of business with Illinois. I think Illinois is a good team. You did what you needed to do, and you move on. And then I think just Penn State in general losing. Now James Franklin out in a coaching search. What does that mean for just the rest of their season? Are they the new UCLA and just they're down bad, and are they just gonna get walked all over? I don't know. Also, Ty Simpson, big win versus Missouri. Now kind of the favorite in terms of Heisman. He was on our stock up last week, so those are just the quick, probably heavy hitters that I'll start with.
Yeah, I think I said it on last week's episode, and my biggest takeaway from this weekend, it's not actually James Franklin. I will get into that, but uh, I made a comment on last week's segment. I said, you're going to learn a lot about the Indiana Hoosiers this weekend. And we learned a lot about the Indiana Hoosiers. They came to play. They beat Oregon in Eugene on the road. I think that's like, Brian, one of our guys, is a massive IU fan. I would imagine that's the biggest win in IU football history. It's got to be up there. Shout out to the fun fact of the weekend that Kurt Signetti has more top 10 wins in the last 30 days than James Franklin did at 10 years at Penn State. Fun fact of the day, James Franklin doesn't have a job now. So, obviously they might have saw that stat. They might have saw the loss to Northwestern and UCLA. We'll get into all that in a second. I'm definitely going to enjoy this Penn State chatter. But Indiana looks good. Mendoza's the real deal. I know we had talked about Surratt a little bit. He's the real deal. Indiana has some playmakers. That coach is a lot of fun. There was the conversation around like who has Indiana played. Like that's always the conversation. It was the conversation last year. They came into Columbus. That was a big deal. That was a big matchup. I was there for it. It was electric. Ohio State really, I thought played pretty well that game. Caleb Downs took the punt return back. That place was electric. It was an amazing game. Indiana lost to Ohio State last year, and then in the playoff to Notre Dame. So you're going into the season like, who, is this team for real? Is it the same thing as last year? Have they really beaten anybody? They beat Dante Moore in Oregon. Like, Ohio State didn't do that last year. Like, that's not an easy place to play. Very, very impressed by Indiana for sure there. The Arch thing, so interesting. Like, again, I feel like the only thing I've heard as an Ohio State fan, and I would love some like comments from the general public on this who listen around. It feels like everything I see on Twitter and on social is Ohio State hasn't played anybody. Like Ohio State hasn't played anybody, but Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, and Washington put up crazy numbers. They only lose one time, and yet they're not ranked. So that doesn't count as a big win for Ohio State. Ohio State beats Texas in home week 1. Texas they hadn't been a Power 4 team. Like Texas isn't back. Like that doesn't count. It's like then you beat Illinois, who is preseason number 9 in the country, gets smacked by Indiana. So we're like, is Indiana really good? Is Illinois really terrible? Not really sure. The Buckeyes go to Illinois, beat them. It's like, averaging, I don't know it was 5.5, 5.6 going into last weekend points per game given up. I think Illinois scored 14 points. I don't know the number in front of me, but I feel like the Buckeyes keep getting this, like, we don't beat anybody. We're going into Wisconsin this weekend to play a team averaging like 6.6 points in Big Ten play. Like the worst in the Big Ten. They're the only team under 10 points a game. That team looks like a disaster. So I think that's on my mind because the Arch Manning thing, like John Mateer, we've had these conversations on the show that like, dude, he looked awesome. He was a Heisman candidate 4 weeks ago before his hand injury. They score 6 points against that Texas defense? Like, the Texas defense has some studs on it. But, man, we're going to talk about it in a second, right around that halfway point. Mid-season, in college football, what a time. What a time. It's electric right now.
Yeah, yeah. Love it. I am always trending higher on Ohio State each week, so I'm with you there. I do also share the frustration that Washington is not ranked. They're 5-1 with a one loss being to the number one team. I don't get it. I want justice for Washington.
All right, well, we could sit here and pitch the Washington should be ranked thing forever, but we'll get into some more of the takeaways from this weekend here in a second. I'm sure they'll come up in this conversation, but we got to kick it off with the usual here, the stock watch. 3 up, 3 down. We'll start with 3 up. Who are 3 guys up this week?
So for the first time, we've got someone who was stock down. Now they're stock up.
Okay.
Nico Iamaleava.
Wow.
UCLA.
Wow.
But okay, so when they were 0-3, his autos, I remember his base autos were like $10, $15, and I'm like, yeah, I'll pass. There were some crazy golds at like $50. I'm seeing them run up at auctions now, and they're getting snap bought. It's just insane the turnaround that they've had. I'm a big Jerry Neuheisel guy. Just this guy's just a wizard. They were the laughing stock. Everyone was clowning on Nico for the last 6. Yeah, 0-4. So they're just clowning on him for the last 6 months. They're 0-4. They're like, are they going to win a game this season? And now they've put up 80 points in the last 2 games. And Nico actually looks like he could be something here. So back up. Those prices were so down bad that it was like, do you even want to touch them at $10? And now I don't even think you could probably find one under $30. So Nico, just insane. I don't know if you got prices up or what you've got.
Yeah, we have a couple up right now. Brian's got them up here. Card ladder shows the sale from Brian. What's the top one? Bowman Chrome PSA 10 auto sold for $65. You've got a Big Kahuna auto did $130 as an SGC 9510. That's pretty solid. You've got a green auto raw did $36 oboe or $36 was up for best offer. Refractor auto to $299 did $40, surprisingly better than a green. Variation to $25, sold on October 12th for $76. PSA 9, it was an auction. So shout out to Card Ladder for those sales. Just pulling it up there, just seeing his stuff sold for. It's funny because I feel like I'm referencing some of the points I've made previously on the show because I talked about it with you're going to learn about Indiana, but I remember saying like there's no optimism for me around Nico's cards, none. Like they're terrible, they're not winning a game, and I was like, at least Drew Aller and Cade Klubnik have the draft type. Like I don't see it with Nico. They look horrible. Like he's obviously got the questions around like leaving Tennessee and chasing the money. Like those questions were coming up. They beat Penn State, and then they beat again Aiden Childs and a Michigan State team that does not look very good. But regardless, like they hadn't won any games at all. His stuff has definitely shown some life. It's certainly, let's just also be clear, like it's nowhere near where it was. Like these cards got insanely high at one point. But yeah, definitely some life into those. And again, I talked about it with comparing Klubnik and Aller, where I said there was some optimism there. Definitely a sad situation for Drew Aller, a guy that comes back to school. Like as much as I do not want to see Penn State win, I am a Buckeye. Like it is, shout out to Tyler and Bobby and the guys from Card Talk. I have family that is, Penn State fans. It's obviously a lot of fun for the banter around Ohio State, Penn State, just like Ohio State, Michigan. Like I love college football. I love talking about it. I love the rivalry. I love that banter. It makes it fun. Like I love when Penn State loses. Love it. Like it makes me happy for sure. But to see a guy come back to school to win a national title, to be preseason national title picks for a lot of people, like there's a lot of talent on that Penn State team. You take Jim Knowles from Columbus, who just won a national title with the Buckeyes. Like there's a lot of like things to say. Best running back tandem in the country. You've got one of the best draft prospects in the country in Drew Aller, and then to see Drew Aller get hurt and out for the year after losing 2 games in a row, going 3-3, tragic situation. Like just to see him get injured like that, like the guy would have been what would Drew Aller been last year? Top 5 pick? The Browns I don't think would have passed on Drew Aller at 2. No way they would have passed on Drew Aller. A Cleveland kid, there's no way they would have passed on Aller at 2.
Yeah, going into after the Big Ten championship game, they were like, yo, he's got buzz for 1-1 overall. And NFL scouts have been like dreaming of this kid since he was a freshman. And like, he's the prototypical 6'5", 230 rocket arm Northeast kid. And like, He's just always been a draft radar guy. So, yeah, very unfortunate. Been a 4-year guy. Never a rumor in the transfer portal for this guy. He's been loyal, wants to come back, win it all, and unfortunate.
Yep,
So,
for sure. All right,
bummer.
who's number 2 this week?
All right, number 2, Makai Lemon, wide receiver, USC.
Dog.
He is he is number 2 in the country right now in receiving yards, number 1 in Power 4 among Power 4 wide receivers. He's coming down with everything. He's getting clips every single weekend. He's just been doing it all, coming down with Odell type catches, and he's been climbing up. His base autos at one time were probably like $7-ish. Now I think I just sold one this morning for like $30. So they've definitely jumped up over the last few weeks. I have a gold auto on eBay for $90, and I'm getting offers around the $70-$80 range, but I'm just going to hold out. That's been one of my guys. I really like Makai Lemon. Wide receiver 1 is a very interesting debate for this 2026 draft. You've got Carnell Tate, you've got Jordan Tyson, Makai Lemon, just Denzel Boston, I think, is up there. So just a lot of different guys in that conversation. So it'll be interesting to see. He's a smaller guy. I think I value size a little bit more when you get a Carnell Tate or a Denzel Boston type guy who's 6'3", 6'4".
Yep.
But I think Makai is certainly in the consideration for All-American and one of the top first round, top 3 wide receivers being taken in the draft.
I mean, his stuff is definitely moving in the right direction. I mean, you had a wild card auto to 3 sell this morning for $54. Like, that's a strong sale. You have a yellow auto to 75 from Bowman Chrome doing 52. You've got a fuchsia auto 1 of 50 doing 42. You've got another fuchsia auto to 150 doing 42. These are all October 13th. What was that, yesterday? National, what's that? National red auto to 5 from this year's national, so non-first, just from this year's silver packs, did 185. We've got a gold BGS 9510. Rookie auto did 150 2 days ago. I mean, I was gonna bring this up, but it feels like USC. You've brought up Maivia before on Stock Up. Like you've kept a close eye on him. I know we had talked before. Like there was just, you're like, I'm not really sure. Like going into the season, like what he's gonna be, and USC seems like one of those teams that's just kind of like flying under the radar in the Big Ten. I think they're 5-1 at this point. They, it's always the Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. You bring in, a lot of the Pac-12. Oregon's obviously in those conversations now, and you're seeing Cignetti and IU at the number 3 team in the country. It doesn't seem like USC's really been in that conversation a lot, but here they are with 5 wins. They just beat Michigan. They have one of the best receivers in America. Interesting. I'm keeping an eye on USC here. We'll see what happens. A lot of football left. They've got some big games. I'm going to assume they play Notre Dame at some point this year.
This week.
Right on cue. Yeah. Well, I said it last week. You're going to learn a lot about the USC Trojans this week when they play the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. One of the best passers in the country, in my opinion, is CJ Carr. Notre Dame was one of my preseason picks to, potentially win a national title. I feel like it could have been Ohio State, Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame is really good. We'll learn a lot in South Bend this Saturday. It's gonna be a fun one to watch.
Yeah. So I'm in. It is a shame though. USC down to their 3rd string running back right now. They lost Eli Sanders for the year, and then Waymon Jordan, the number 1 JUCO kid. I think he's out for like 4 to 6 weeks. But their other kid, I'm blanking on his name. I think it's like Anthony Hill or something. He had like 186 yards. Looked good. So might still be on track, but bummer to lose your top 2.
Yeah, USC's what a schedule coming up. Notre Dame at Notre Dame, at Nebraska, home against Northwestern. Let's not sleep on Northwestern. Penn State might have. Let's not sleep on them. Then they've got Northwestern at home, Iowa at home. Then they go to Eugene, November 22nd, and they finish up with UCLA, who has scored 80 points, won 2 weeks in a row, and has the number 1 guy on Stock Up this week. So we'll see what happens with USC, but definitely a solid start.
Yeah, I'll be watching. So
number three,
another wide receiver, Elijah Surratt, Indiana. I don't know, his prices might not be necessarily like trending up. He's only in Leaf. I think most of his autos sit at about $20 or so, but yep. I was gonna leak his name when I was talking about top 5. Like I think he's in that top 5 for NFL draft consideration.
Wait, top five
And
wide
you could
receiver,
go
right?
for,
Not like top five overall
yeah,
pick.
yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
yes, wide receiver. So yeah, in that group for wide receiver, and yeah, I mean he's doing it. He's been doing it. He's a JMU kid. Came over with Signetti, 1,000 yards each the last 2 seasons. I
Wow.
think he's in the top 10 in receiving. So I like him. I'm watching him. You could have gone Mendoza here. My one thing why I didn't plug Mendoza in is because he had that late pick six, and I just that turned me
Mm-hmm.
off a little bit, and it could have cost him the game.
Yeah,
So
could have.
otherwise, Mendoza would have been there, but I wanted to show Elijah Surratt some love.
Yeah, like you said, doesn't have a ton of cards, but his Leaf stuff does sell pretty well. You've got a green, says blue Shimmerado, looks to be green. Either way, just sold on auction on the 12th at $26. Leaf Pro Set Auto to 60, $12. Hot Flash Pink Auto from Leaf to 7 did $5. Like, honestly, that seems like a deal. I feel like this is one of those guys that you could probably buy in. We'll get to the value box play in a second. This seems like a guy that, like, I can tell you, if I saw his auto in a value box, like, I would have to do a double take, like, just because, like, with no logos on there, like, I don't necessarily assume, like, this, like, it could be any red school, like the jersey. Indiana doesn't have a lot of logos on their jerseys to begin with, so like looking at this card, like you could say this is, there's a bunch of different teams you could say this card is, he's associated with. So I would probably pass over this. This seems like one you could find in a value box and probably make some plays on right now. Indiana is incredibly hot. Like, again, our guy BK loves the Hoosiers and like loves them. So I would imagine for a guy that's the best receiver on the team, one of the best in America, who only has Leaf or just Leaf autos, this could be a sneaky guy to keep an eye out for in the value boxes.
Yeah, you could. I could definitely see someone going to their local card shop and seeing this for $3 and then flipping it next day for 20.
Yep,
Easy, very good
100%.
value.
Yep. All right. Well, we got to talk about stock down. We've got a couple guys you could put on here if you come to mind, but I'll ask you, who are the three guys on this week's stock down?
Yes. So we touched on it a little bit. Drew Aller, just unfortunate season-ending injury now. I think a couple of folks have said he could apply for a medical waiver and appeal the process. It's probably too soon to realize. Like, I feel like sometimes you get the rumors of like, oh, they plan to appeal this
Yep.
and get it like granted. So
Yep.
a little too soon for that. I'm curious. He played 6 games, so you're past the 4 game mark. But if he is ineligible for the rest of college football, now is he like a late day 2, day 3, fifth round guy? Like, it's just going to be hard to tell. And I don't know.
Did they say
There's
what it
always the
was?
debate. No, I think it's just a lower leg.
Yeah,
I
like
don't think
when
there's
he
anything.
left the game, like and he's on the cart, you could see him crying. He had some kind of like sleeve or some kind of brace thing on his right leg. That's what it looked like to me, was some kind of leg injury. It didn't appear to
Yeah.
be anything on his knee, which like again, like I think a lot of us, out for the year, kind of assuming with something like that. Like, I mean, Achilles, knee, ACL, MCL, PCL, something like that. Like I'm going to the knee, but I didn't see it specifically stated. I just knew right away. Like Franklin announced it right after the press conference. Drew was out for the year, so didn't see what it
Yeah.
was, but yeah, obviously tragic.
Yeah. So now the debate is, do you sell at rock bottom now? Do you hold it? Do you stash it? And you're like, hey, you're going to, bank on a healthy recovery. I don't know. But again, just with Penn State's trajectory being out for the year, I imagine his prices continue to drop. So unfortunate on the stock down there. Next one. Josh Hoover, TCU
Mm,
quarterback. I wanted to throw him in here just because they lost to Kansas State. Kansas State was a laughing stock at the beginning of the season. They're kind of turning it on right now. They could have beat Baylor. They had they blew a lead in the fourth quarter, and then they had a blocked field goal to go for the win versus Baylor. But then they come back. They beat TCU. I thought that was impressive. But just compared to where Josh Hoover prices were, he probably had some crazy like red auto sell in the hundreds of dollars at the beginning of the season. And now with 2 losses, I just feel like he's probably coming back down to earth. He is a junior, and he does seem very loyal to TCU. There were rumors when Nico left, hey, let's go throw a bag at Josh Hoover, and he's like, no, I love TCU. I'm pretty sure he's a local Texas kid. He's a very like cowboy kid, like a Texas like quarterback. As much as you could see a Texas quarterback, that's what he is. So I don't know. I don't think he's like a transfer portal guy next year. But he's a guy that I'm keeping an eye on for the 2027 draft. I don't imagine he goes this year. Maybe he could, but he's a guy that I'm holding on to. But I do imagine just from where he was beginning of the year, down.
Yeah, I don't have his like early season stuff up, but you've got some base auto. There's a $20 sale. There's an out of 10 red best auto PSA 9. Just did $82. It's got some leaf autos that do $5-10. So he's got some decent sales. Probably not bad for a guy that did just lose to Kansas State. Fuchsia auto to 150 sold I think before the game. I think the 8th was Friday or Thursday. Did $43. So some stronger sales for a guy that again you think the peak selling opportunity is still a ways away. Still a decent market, but yeah, I'm not sure how much ROI there is in the short term for a guy like that.
Yeah. So I just felt like preseason he was a hot name that came on late. So number 3, staying in the Big 12, Sam Leavitt, Arizona State. Had a mysterious injury early or like mid last week.
Yep.
There was the clip of like Kenny Dillingham squirting him with water to simulate the Utah rain and everything. And then suddenly like Wednesday, Thursday, they're like, oh, he's doubtful to play, and then just out. There are Twitter rumors all over that it was a friendly basketball pickup game.
Oh.
That's just a rumor, but it's out there on the internet. And then it looks like he's doubtful for this upcoming week versus Texas Tech, which is a huge game. I think the line started at like 5.5 in favor of Texas A&M. Now it's at like 10.5 or 11, with him being doubtful again. So unfortunate, because he was one of like the darlings, the sleepers, almost like a little before John Mateer, and then John Mateer came on late in the offseason. But he's kind of just that crafty little guy who can run and throw and kind of do it all. ASU without Scadaboo, that was kind of a question mark, but just got smoked by Utah. They lost 3 guys out for the season after that game, so Utah just beat them up pretty good. So, it'll be interesting to see. Another loss. They dropped to 4-3 at that point if they lose at Texas A&M or Texas Tech.
Yep.
So, kind of on watch there, just to see what his prices do. I'm curious, but could be a buy low.
Yeah, his stuff was pretty hot going into the season. He was definitely one of the I wouldn't say one of the mainstream guys, because it feels like the mainstream guys are the guys we continue to talk about. The Lagways, the Allers, the Klubniks, the Nussmeyers, the Arch Mannings. He seemed to be in that second group of guys, almost with like the Josh Hoover, almost with the Ty Simpsons, guys like that. But his stuff was moving. He was in the Panini Gold Packs. He's been in like Leaf. He's been in a few different things. But like National Gold Packs auto out of 10 did $425 September 16th. Yes. There's also an August sale for a gold auto that did $455. So those are big sales for a guy that could potentially, miss a couple games, be on a 4-3 team. There was, again, made the playoffs last year. Should have probably beat Texas. I will argue that was a missed targeting call later in the game that would have probably set Texas or set Arizona State up for an opportunity to win. But yeah, his stuff moves. 90. What is that? Leaf National Convention 101 auto, $90. National Silver Wave auto to 25, sold on October 8th for 150. So again,
wow,
some strong sales for a guy that's got 4 wins and is missing time right now.
Yeah. So. Yeah, he rounds it out, but this one was close. Up until like recording, you were like, "Are you stressed?" And I'm like, "Yes, Ryan. I don't know who I'm putting on my down 3 because there's kind of 5 guys. I'm putting John Mateer and Bryce Underwood on watch. Not quite on the stock down, but they've got some big games this weekend as well. But they're close, and I wanted to put them on honorable mention stock down.
Interesting. Well, it'll be exciting to see what happens with those two. Again, Mateer had a lot of hype a few weeks ago. Underwood's had a lot of hype for a long time, but we'll see what happens. All right, I mentioned it earlier. We are right around the halfway point. I think this is like halfway for college football season. A lot of football still left. We're going to get into some really good games. I can tell you my Buckeyes play some big games coming up. Regardless of Penn State's injuries, their coaching, regardless, there's still a lot of talent on that Penn State team. They come to town, have obviously the team up north here in a few weeks. So I know I'm excited. But there's plenty more big games in college football. Let me get an idea from you on where we stand right now and who we're keeping an eye on as we head into the second half of the college football season.
All right. Well, Ryan, I'm gonna say something nice about Ohio State. I am I like they're just trending in the right direction. Like it's just a team. Like their team is just dominant. Like everyone's doing it on defense, everyone's contributing on offense, everything's going great. And so I'm just keeping an eye on them. Like Julian saying, I haven't really tracked his auto prices. I did send one to grading, and I am curious. I'm hopeful for a 10 there. But yeah, I'm keeping an eye on Ohio State, of course. They just continue to win. They look very dominant. They look like the most dominant team. I trust them. To me, it's just still mind blowing how they were able to like replace a $20 million team, and they're in position to win back-to-back titles here. So say something nice about Ohio State. I like them. I'm rocking with them. But that could be bad news for you, Ryan, because sometimes you don't want them to turn into the Clemsons and all of that. So Ohio State, though, I'm watching. Also Miami, so obviously kind of, chalk here going 1-2. But I love Miami's schedule the rest of the way. But we do know Mario Cristobal, I've said, he can lay a stinky on you. So they play Louisville Friday, which makes me a little bit nervous. I'm not a huge Louisville guy, but that's just one of those weird, spooky games on a Friday night that he just kind of drops. So I love Carson Beck's schedule the rest of the way. He's like 1-2, like very close in the odds with Ty Simpson for the Heisman. So I just like the path there. A couple other guys, Texas A&M. I think I've talked about Marcel Reed before. I trust the team around them as well, very similar to like Ohio State in a sense. Yeah. And I think we talked about this on the phone the other day. Like, I think we were talking about Alabama versus A&M, and it's like, I like Ty Simpson and what he's doing with Alabama, and he's kind of been balling out, but like Marcel Reed hasn't yet had like that game where it's like he's been okay, and the rest of the team's been doing it. Defense is holding guys under 10 points, so Marcel Reed is very interesting to me. Like, he hasn't broken out yet. It could be like this is just Marcel Reed, and he's got a good supporting cast, an elite roster around him. But I'm watching them, and then of course Indiana. So I guess 1, 2, 3. Not so amazing here, but Indiana, what they do. Oregon, do they bounce back? Those are some of the teams that I'm looking at. Looking at my list here. Texas Tech. I really like. They went out, they spent all this money on the portal, and it seems to be working. Is that the new model in college football? The Ohio State did it last year. They bought a bunch of guys. Texas Tech is doing it. Are they going to be legit? It's going to take some time for people to be like convinced that Texas Tech is legit, but I mean, they bought everybody in the trenches. They've had elite wide receivers. They've got a great quarterback. Very injury prone, but they've also got a solid little redshirt freshman to back him up if he goes down. The running back, they've got a solution. So I'm impressed with Texas Tech, and I'll be riding with them for a minute.
Well, as we sit here right now, halfway through the season, you have to place a wager for the Heisman Trophy in early December. Who are you making that wager for?
Man, I would say Carson Beck, just because I think that they've got the path to go 12-0, and he's already at the top. And Ty, like, just with the uncertainty of Alabama and just the SEC play, and just you like that's a tough little gauntlet you've got going on at the end of the season. No matter who they have, so just 1 or 2 losses I think could be the difference. And I think at the end of the day, voters would value Carson Beck undefeated going to Miami and with an elite defense. So I would lean with Carson Beck, but I don't think it's locked up by any means either. Like, Dante Moore could come into play back. You got Fernando Mendoza, who could continue to win. So, and I'm sure odds on Mendoza are probably closer to like 600 to 800, and like Ty Simpson and Beck are at like 200 to 300. So it's not locked up by any means, but I think just easiest path right now in college football, Miami, Carson Beck.
Yeah, and I love that. Again, as an Ohio State homer, the idea that Ohio State would have won some of the games they won. I would think Washington will be ranked by the end of the year. I mean, they should be ranked now. But to also play Penn State and to play Michigan, like, those are going to be names. I think if Ohio State goes out and runs the table, like, you're obviously going to meet, at this point, you would say Indiana. Because I saw a stat the other day that said, I think it was this morning, Ohio State, Miami, and Indiana, the top 3 teams in the country, do not play a ranked team the rest of the year. Obviously, Michigan and Ohio State, that still, throw the rankings out the window. We lost to a 7-win Michigan team last year. So I still think that game matters, but I still look at it and say the best player on the best team, and I think that person will reside in Columbus. If Ohio State wins out, like, Sayan's gonna have the best completion percentage in the country. Like he's gonna have some solid numbers. Like we'll see. I think Carson Beck is gonna make a great case for it. Mendoza, again, if he can continue to put up numbers and they can continue to win games, we'll see. I mean, Ty Simpson's gonna get some quality game. Some ranked opponents here coming up. Like he's got LSU, he's got Auburn, he's got Oklahoma. I know those might not all be ranked. I know Oklahoma's ranked. I don't think Auburn is currently ranked, but I know LSU's like 10, 11. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting second half of the year. I'm hoping for the first time in a long time one of my Buckeyes can finally get it. Just like you said, to reload like that would be a lot of fun to see somebody actually win it on a team that, if you look at the roster, you'd say, okay, maybe this team's not as talented as last year's roster. Like last year, you know how many starters ready to replace on defense? I'm going to make the argument time and time again. You'll never hear me stop saying it, that Arvell Reese is one of the best players in America. Like that, if you watch Ohio State games, if you watch the clips, like look at what the scouts are starting to see it, right? The scouts are starting to see it. It's being talked about on Twitter in the college football world. What Arvell Reese can do, like he's getting a lot more buzz on defense than Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles. Now he's a lot more involved. Caleb Downs, like most people aren't throwing at Caleb Downs. Most teams don't throw that deep on Ohio State. But Arvell Reese, like if you ever get a chance to watch a Buckeye game, dude, he's something else. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see what happens in college football. Another 12-team playoff, like who's getting in, what teams lose out, like where these teams finish. Like it's the best sport on earth. Obviously that's we probably share that opinion, but man, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with it. I think we've still got a lot of time, and there's going to be just some crazy conversation when you get to that 10, 11, 12, 13 range to see who slots in. There's going to be multiple lost teams, and we're just getting started.
Well, I love it. More to talk about very, very soon. Hopefully, by the time next week's episode drops, we'll have the ability to get the Bowman Chrome U checklist. Hopefully that drops soon. I would love to be able to talk about that and prepare people for the biggest college football release of the year. It's supposed to come out in a few weeks. So hopefully in next week's episode, we can talk more in depth about that. And then, as always, recap the weekend that was. So shout out to you for another fun episode. See you next week.